That's it, mine. Again. So, hello. Okay, you're up. No, but I just thought that was very similar to the kind of things that we go through. Not to that degree. That's just cruel and unusual to me. But just remember too, as leaders, you guys are leaders of your team, of your teams because you're here. Just remember, your words and your inspiration do affect people, and so don't give up on your teams. Don't give up on yourself. And I'm going to get out of the way. I don't think anything needs to be said after that. So, Kate, come up here and do your thing, girl.
Nice. Thank you. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, my background is in teaching, so I taught middle school. So if your energy's flat, I'm going to need you to try harder. I got up at 4 a.m. and I think I probably beat most of you with how early I got up, so you can do this. I believe in you. From the video Mike shared, number one, he's the best, and Raylan is the best because they're like, what slides do you need? What else do you need? Like, they're the most accommodating people ever, so thank you guys for that. But what I noticed with the video was find people you can lean on and ignore the noise. And I think we can apply that to our business. We can apply it to our real lives. Ignore the noise. Find people to lean on. That's what you're doing today, right? And I'll tell you this. You may have people from your teams that didn't show up today. You may have leaders of your team that didn't show up today. I don't want to say it doesn't matter, especially because he's videoing me. But as long as some of you are here and you take that fire to your teams, it will translate. They will feel it from your text. They will feel it from your phone calls. They'll feel it from your activity. So be here, be present, do this for you, but then spread it to your people after this. That's going to be the most important thing. So before we get going with slides and before I kind of introduce myself a little bit more, I want you guys to give a big hand to Mike and Raylyn and Jen because this may be news for you all, but they are not bored on Saturdays. They aren't like, we should have a regional, I'm so bored. Like they're really fun if you haven't had the opportunity to actually hang out with them. And they sacrifice, as you all know, just like you all sacrifice to show up, they sacrifice a lot to set this up for you and to keep it going, even if y'all are too busy to come. They sacrifice. So let's give them a big hand. And like I said, they're just really fun, so. I think we stood in the pool with them for about 8 hours one day in the Bahamas.
We did.
I think it was really like 8, like the entire day.
It was super fun.
Yeah. Started with breakfast cocktails and worked our way through.
I think it's dinner time.
We did. We better shower. It's time for our dinner. So much fun. So I'm just going to kind of run through so you know a little bit more about me. Even when I do three-way calls, I think it surprises people, but I always stop and ask questions to the person I'm talking to because I always want to find a way I can relate to them. I don't just want to be like a recording. Because if we can't relate, what's the point, right? Like connection is so important, especially we all have our phones and we've got social media and we have all these things to hide behind that we lose a lot of that personal connection, and this is network marketing. It's connecting. We're in the people business. So I want to do the same for you so it's not just like another random trainer who's up here and you're like, okay, next, made it through September. Like I want to make sure we have a little something there. So like I said, like Mike said, my name's Kate and I am from Iowa, right in the middle. I actually live about 10 minutes from Iowa State University. So when I say we're a college town, it's like 6 minutes away. I think it's 8 miles. Okay, so it's very close, and it's ESPN game day today, so some of you may not be into sports. I'm a boy mom, and my dad raised me like a boy, so I'm very into sports. So I do have a little FOMO that I'm not there today, but there's very few people I'd miss it for, but obviously you guys made it. So, and the game doesn't start till 2, so I can listen to it on the way home. It's fine. I told my husband, I'm like, pace yourself, babe. It's a late game. They got up to the parking lot at 5 a.m. I don't want to have to drive anyone home. So I the town I currently live in has 1,200 people. And why that matters to you is we hear a lot about, oh, the town I live in is too small. I don't know enough people. Okay, we don't even have a stoplight. I'm not kidding. We have a roundabout, which is very exciting. And we've got 2-3 stop signs to get in and out of town. That's it. Pretty wild. But what makes us a little different, like I said, is we live 10 minutes from a college town, and we have 5 schools in our town of 1,200 people. So we are basically a town of really insanely good public schools. It's almost like free private school. Like, they always rank number 1 in everything. Why do I tell you that? I used to teach there. So, and it had nothing to do with me. I know you're shocked, but nothing to do with me. I left. So I actually taught 5th and 6th grade for about 13 years. So I did 10 years of 5th grade, and then I kind of felt like burnout was coming, which it happens a lot in our job. So I switched to 6th grade to see if that was the answer. Turns out it wasn't, but I tried. So, do you have any teachers in here or family members that are teachers? Okay. So you know it's a lot. It's a lot mentally, it's a lot emotionally, it's just a lot. And I was raising 2 little boys. My husband travels for work 80% of the time and works an hour away. And we had to decide, were we gonna save our marriage, or was one of us gonna make a change with our job? Honestly, like, I'm a big joker and I hate vulnerability and emotion. It's just, I was not raised to like really go deep. I just like to laugh and pretend it's fine. So just know, my dad was like, suck it up, you're fine. So, but I laugh, but it really was serious. So I was introduced to Neora, Miriam at the time, about 5 or so years ago. And what led up to it, we all have that, like, I think most of us do. What led up to it? Very few of us are like, oh my gosh, my life's amazing. Now I'm gonna sell skincare. Like, very few of us are riding high when it comes into our life, right? And I think obviously there's a reason for that. I do believe in perfect timing. I do believe in, you have your friends and family who are a no. It's not their time yet. And so instead of getting, hurt about it or upset, it's not their time yet. Like, they haven't had that moment where they realize, like, oh, I really need something else. So for us, I had, really before that, when we had little tiny kids, you guys know how hard that is when you have small children and you're single parenting them, basically. That was really hard on our marriage, okay? Just was. We kind of make it through the other side of that. And then my 8-year-old at the time develops really severe school anxiety. So every day he wakes up and he gets sick or he cries. Every single day. And I was teaching, so I didn't really have time to deal with it. I had to drop him off and get to school. So I would be like shoving him out the door, like, hope it goes okay, buddy, and then I'd be squealing out to get the other kid to daycare and to get to school and teach all day. And it's awful. You guys know if you're parents and you can't fix it, it is awful. So we made it through that year. I was Googling, like, does he have ADHD? Does he have learning disabilities? Because you guys, he taught himself to read at 3. So I'm like, I don't feel like there's an intellectual problem here. Like, we never even had to teach him anything. He just knew everything. I don't know. But he had major issues to the point where he was just sick all the time. I think he missed whatever the maximum number of days you can miss of school and not get turned into a truancy officer. We were like pretty much there because he was sick all the time. And I was working full time. My husband works full time. We're to the point where calling my mom to miss work because we didn't have anyone else who could keep him. To the point where the school nurse would call me and just say, hey, Kate, and I was like, shoot, because he just kept getting sick at school. And so they'd send him home, and I'm like, he's not sick, he's stressed out, and I don't know what you want me to do. So it was 9 months of this, because we all have to have our proverbial rock bottom before we say yes to something sometimes. 9 months of this, and I want to say it was May of that school year, and I had just sent my class out for recess. Yes, they still get recess in 6th grade. Just sent my class out for recess, and I was grading papers really quickly. I saw about 150 students a day. So that is a ton of paperwork because you have to grade them and then you have to base them. It's not cute little A, B's, and C's like when we were all in school. It's like 3s, 2s, and 1s, and if you don't get a 3, you have to retake it. So, grading all these papers, send them out for recess. I have like 5 minutes before they come back. And if this tells you anything, I used to sit in the dark when they went to recess just to like power down my brain for a second because you're operating here the whole time. So I'd sit in the dark. Everyone probably thought I had some severe depression going on. I'm like, no, your kids are just very loud. So I'm grading it all. I open a Diet Coke and I'm like, I'm just going to take 5 minutes and get on Facebook. If your high point of your day is 5 minutes on Facebook, you need to reevaluate your life. Okay, like I didn't realize what a scary thing that was like my break. Because that's not awesome. So I get on Facebook and I'm scrolling through and I'm just looking at statuses and my friend's bare stomach pops up on Facebook. I was like, okay. So she went to high school with us. My husband actually used to have a crush on her when we were in high school. He tried to date her. Luckily she said no because then I snagged him. But he liked her a lot, so that's our joke is that he liked her first and then she introduced me to this. But she had moved away and she lived in the Chicago area and she worked for Discovery School. So like the Discovery Channel, they have a school area. So she worked, after her third baby, they were gonna make her travel 90% of the time. And she has 3 kids under 5. So she had to walk away from her job, her corporate job. So she jumped into this thinking, I have a way to make extra money, I can be home with the boys. Her picture, number 1, is insane. So I'll send it I'll make sure Mike and Raylan have it if you want a really good stomach picture with the firm, even before we got the supercharged formula. She had used, actually, the night cream on her stomach first, because we didn't have firm. Then we got firm about halfway through that month, and her results looked like she legitimately had a tummy tuck. Like, it's insane. And you can tell it's her, but she's teeny tiny, had 3 boys who were not small. So she posts her picture, and number 1, I thought it was pretty ballsy for her to put her stomach on Facebook. I was like, I will never do that. Like, never. You cannot pay me to put my bare stomach on Facebook. We've all done a lot of things since then, but you always think you won't, and then you're like, oh, there's my cellulite, great. But she posted that, and of course I'm never going to comment, because I don't want anyone to see that I liked it, right?
Yep.
Anyone else do that? I'm not going to comment on your picture. I sent her a secret message on Facebook, and I just said, hey, tell me more about that. I work out, I try and be healthy, but if there's a lotion that's going to put all that back into place, I need to hear about it. So she messages me right back. Oh my gosh, I was just going to reach out to you. And I was like, yeah, I'll bet. Bet you were. Now that I have been here a minute, I'm like, oh yeah. So she says, hey, let me just call you. I want to make sure you know how it works. If you want to order it, I'll get your info then, whatever. I'm like, okay, great. Have not spoken to her in probably 10 years. But on Facebook, you think you know people. So I'm like, okay, great. So she goes, let's talk tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, kids go to bed, whatever. So that night rolls around after another very long day of teaching middle schoolers in May who could care less about school, and they smell bad. You've never been around a 12-year-old in May after recess? It is awful. One of you was talking about you smell like barbecue. I promise you that is not an issue once you taught middle schoolers. Like, ugh. So they are checked out. Everyone's ready to be done. It's literally, I think, the last week of school. I'm not interested in talking to her, and I almost canceled. So if you have people cancel, realize like they do have a lot going on in their life, and what you have to say is just not as important to them yet. So, you know. So she texts me, hey, we're still on for tonight, right? And I was like, ugh, I was just going to cancel. Yep, that's perfect. So she calls me, and I start catching up on life with her. This is, as I'm telling the story, I want you to like be making tally marks of what she did wrong, because it's a lot, and I want you to see how much it didn't matter, okay? So that's your point A to point B. So I'm trying to catch up on life because we haven't spoken in 10 years. And she goes right into the story of the company. I was like, okay, that's where we are then. So I put her on speakerphone because my husband's in the room with me, and I thought if she gets weird and salesy, I'm gonna have him pretend that the kids need me. So I put her on speakerphone, because I was like, And I already told Mike and Raylan, I'm very distrustful by nature. Like, I assume people have agendas. And I wish I was not like that. I wish I was a sweet little pure-hearted girl, but I just assume that people have a secret. I can usually tell when they do and when they don't. So I was like, okay, here we go. She's in one of those things. Here we go. So I put her on speakerphone, and she jumps into the whole history of the company. She jumps into all the products. She jumps into all the things. Not an expert. She said it all. I was like, okay. Awesome. I'm like, so here's my credit card info. I just want to order the firm. And she's like, well, I'm going to put you on with my leader, blah, 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 blah. Click, puts me on, adds an expert to the call. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening here, but this is very awkward. So she didn't really set it up. Like, I felt like getting married on the first date. I'm like, wow, really jumped right into it. So she puts me on with Tanya. Tanya DeCapity, if you don't know her, redhead, she was in the car with her girls driving home from a trip, and she's like, I was able to do this, I was able to earn a free Lexus, able to earn a big bonus. I didn't listen to the rest because I thought even if I could earn a Lexus, and I didn't really think I could, even if I could earn the Lexus car bonus, that would be a big deal. And that would kind of make me feel like I was getting somewhere. I think we all hit a point, and if you're really young, maybe you're not there yet, but we all hit a point where we're like, okay, is this it? Like, is this all I have to do for the rest of my life? And that's kind of where I was. So I was ready for that next challenge. So when she said, you know, you can earn a Lexus bonus, you can get your product free, my husband's ears perked up. Not about the Lexus. Free product. He is the cheapest human on the planet. Which, God bless him, it's the only reason we'll be able to retire in comfort, because he is so good with money. And I really like to spend it. So we are a good match. But he heard free product, and he's like, yeah, ask her more about the free product. So I'm like, okay, so I can get it free, and I'm thinking, like, he's so embarrassing. I just want to wrap this up and order my cellulite lotion. And he's making me ask questions, because if you knew him, number one, he's amazing.
Yes.
Whitney's know him. He's amazing. But he's an engineer. And everything takes 50 million questions. Like, so annoying. And I'm just like, I'll say yes and figure it out later, and he wants to know every detail. So he made me ask how to get it free. And she told me if I could find 3 people who wanted product, I could get it free every month. And he's like, yeah, you should probably do that because I know you're going to keep buying it. He wasn't wrong. So she asked me, she's like, okay, what are you not loving about your skin? And I'm like, well, I kind of have some dark spots from having kids, and I don't know, I just feel like I need to do something. A lot of people feel like they need something just to freshen up. So before we got off the phone, I said, let me talk to my husband, we'll talk about it, I'll get back to you. But I just wanted the firm, so I'm like, just put my order in as a customer. Well, she wouldn't do it. Because she's like, I want you to really think about it first. I'm like, I just want my damn firm, please. But she would not put the order in because she's like, well, if you think you want it free, let's wait. And just, make sure. I'm like, oh, you're so annoying. So at this point, she has sent me the history of the company in a Facebook message.
Oh, gosh.
All of it. Like a three-way call in text format and a Facebook message. Put me on a call where she did most of the talking. And then when the expert hung up, she continued to talk to me. And then she didn't even put my dumb order in. But she did follow up in lots of interesting ways. She lived in Illinois at the time. And she was like, hey, I'm going to be back in Iowa. I forgot my running shoes. Do you have any I can borrow? Like, very weird. But I guess that's where we were at that point. Shows up at my house. We chat a little bit. And then she's like, hey, tomorrow night I'm with my family. What are you guys doing? And we hung out again. Like, talk about dripping on me in a very unconventional way. She just kept showing up at my house. And I'm like, okay. And then she said, and I don't know if any of you suffer from FOMO, fear of missing out. Anyone?
Yes.
I have it bad. That's why ESPN Game Day, I was this morning, I was like, it's fine. I drove by the stadium, I was like, I can't even look at it because I'm missing it and it's fine. But I have FOMO so badly, and if people can make me feel like I'm missing out, I will almost always say yes. So if you've got people in your life like that, realize it's not a pain point, we just hate missing the fun. I hate missing the fun. I will do almost anything if it's fun. I'll try almost anything once, good, bad, or otherwise. But she was like, hey, she did this, she did yoga. She's a yoga teacher. So my backyard is a soccer field. I promise I'm getting to the point with this. My backyard is a soccer field. She invited a bunch of people over. We did yoga, and then we had like mimosas and hung out.
She invited people to your house.
Yeah, my backyard, it's public property. But she's like, do you think we can do yoga? And I was like, oh my gosh, absolutely. So she taught yoga in my backyard. It's very nice. We had mimosas, we hung out, and then she's like, okay, you guys, I just wanted to tell you I'm kind of doing this skincare company now, and I have some people ready to join me, and she didn't say anything about me. And I was like, and that's all it took. I'm a sucker. So I talked to my husband, and he's like, just do the 1,000, because if you're gonna go, you may as well go all in. And he said, I'm giving you 1 year to make the money back. And for some of you, that might give you like that crush of pressure. I love when people tell me I can't do something, because I'm like, oh yeah, watch this. So I proceeded to make the money back probably in 2 months because I was fired up. And I love children, I loved my job, but I really wanted to be home with my kids. Because you remember what I had just told you about had been going on at our house for that entire school year? I was afraid I was gonna have to homeschool my son. So I was like, I have to get in and out of here as quick as possible. I have to make as much as my teaching salary as quick as possible so that I have the option of either teaching and having a bunch of extra money or staying home and homeschooling my son, but still bringing in a salary. Because my husband makes great money, but that's a lot of pressure for him if I just do this. And I don't want that, you know? I'd like to stay married. So we decided to give it a whirl. I had parties, just like you're supposed to have parties. And I'll talk more about how the first one didn't go very well. Because remember how I said we're taking tally marks of all the things my friend did not do correctly? God bless her. There's another one when it comes to the party. My point is, if I sit here and tell this cute fairy tale, you're going to be like, oh, but that's not really how it all works. Right, I know. Everything went wrong, and here we still are. So I did the parties, I made the money back, and I want to say within 1 year, I was able to walk away from my teaching job. Now, that's not something everyone wants to do. I needed to for both my mental health, my son's mental health. Like, we were just at a point where you can only go as hard as possible for so long. And then you have to reevaluate. So we were able to stay married. My son no longer has school anxiety. Things are looking up. But since then, so I've been home, I think this is my 4th year, which blows my mind. But since then, so I left teaching in May. The following November, my dad got sick and passed away very, very suddenly. And I only tell you that because you know I don't like to do the whole vulnerability emotion thing. It's not my favorite. I tell you that because everyone always says don't wait to work this business until you need it. I cannot imagine having to go to school every day and teach. Because you know how many days you get off when someone passes away in school? 3. You get 5 if it's your husband. I'm like, are you joking? It's 3 days off. I can't imagine going back and being like a contributing citizen and a really engaged teacher 3 days after my dad died. I can't imagine. So I look at this like such a gift. I didn't know why I needed it other than we needed a change in our family. But life has a funny way of showing up and showing you that you do need it. And so today we are going to talk through the how-tos. A lot of you know this stuff, but being here together really gives you that, oh yeah, this is why I'm here. This is what I need to do this. And even if you don't have a reason today, it always shows up. So I had a friend reach out to me after he passed away and just said, now I totally see why God gave you Miriam. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. And it was just nice to hear it from someone else who's not involved, who has told me no many times, who saw what this really was. So I just want to encourage you with that today. Number 1, you can screw this up 8 ways from Sunday and still come out on top, because we've done that. Number 2, don't wait to work this until you need it. Because I promise you, life is very funny that way. So we are going to go through some things here. And I don't think I told you, my sons are now 13 and 10. We're in full throttle teen and preteen years. Another reason I was happy to come, I almost just stayed like 2 days here just to get a vacation from the attitudes that are at my house right now. But those of you that have raised teenagers, bless you. And boy ones. My whole house just stinks.
Wait till the girls show up.
Oh dear. Well, my son on Snapchat today, he'll love that I told you this. Because he has to let me follow him in every single way on social media, and I can get into his phone. But he has a girlfriend, and he's like, happy birthday, I love you. And I was like, oh. I don't like it at all. So I hope they have a mother-in-law suite when he gets married someday, because I'm gonna have to live with him. Okay, so I want to go through this with you. I want everyone to just take a big deep breath. It's your Saturday, and I know you're taking time away. I want you to be as present as possible. I think as many times as you've heard presentations, as many times as you've heard little things, there's always something you can take away. And you're always in a different place every single time you come. And you're going to grab different things where maybe you weren't ready for it the first or 375th time you've heard it. You might hear something today and be like, okay, yeah, that's perfect. And I'm going to throw in some different things we do for our team as well as the slides. But my hope is to crank through these so that before we go, you can sit down with the people in this room. We can plan some parties. You can plan Facebook parties, whatever you need to, because when you leave, it's really easy for that fire to go out by the time you get home, and then 50 people need you, and then you don't have time to plan anything. So my goal is to give you time at the end before you go, while you're still plugged in with each other, that you can get some things done, and we'll work on some wording and things like that. Because I am not great at a lot of things, but I'm good at wording text messages with your people so you don't sound desperate and you can get the sale. So I would love to help you with that type of stuff at the end. So authenticity, obviously, if we aren't real in this company, I don't know who is. Like, we're about the most real, down-to-earth people on the planet. I don't know about you guys, but when Bo Short announced his retirement during the Zoom, I cried a little in the privacy of my own home where no one saw me. It's like our family member. I'm very happy for him and his wife, but it's very sad. But I don't think in other companies it's like that. I think it's so corporate. It's not. But we're like one big family. Like, he actually cares. Like, I don't know how many times I shook his hand in the Bahamas, but it was probably 15. And it's the two-hand handshake because he loves us. So we're real people, we're a real family. We have real problems and we have real successes. And so it's just like the video we watched. That's why you're here, to plug in with your people. We're going to talk about 10 core. We'll talk about character. One thing I will tell you as well, if you have not figured it out by now, this business will bring all of your strengths and all of your weaknesses right to the surface. And that is why we read 10 pages a day. Because when those weaknesses come to the surface, if you aren't ready for it, it sucks. Like, there's not a cuter way to say that. I mean, it's like a magnifying glass on all the good and bad parts of us, right? And so the 10 core helps you manage that so that you can become a better version of yourself. And then the last one, giving back. This was huge for me, and this was, besides getting my product free, this is the one that drew me into the business. I loved that we partnered with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and that it's all about the ripple, and that we do the happiness walls, and there's no, I mean, we're not taking anything for that. We're just giving to create a happier world. That's a big deal. We are in a completely different world now than we were 5 years ago when I got started. Like, if you think about how quick the world is changing and how much the world is relying on that good and giving back, and because it is a wild world out there right now. So this is big. People need that anchor to hold on to, that there is still good out there. Don't forget to talk about that. You can talk about the products all day. People will look better, but when they realize that there is a higher purpose even than just great skin, that's a big deal. Okay, new brand partners. Are any of you new? I'm looking at your faces. You seem awesome. She's plugged in new though, because she doesn't have the blank, scared look about her. Okay, so I teach spin classes. And whenever anyone new comes into the studio, I'm like, oh, is it your first day? Because they look like they want to pee their pants and run out the door. And they're like, how did you know? I'm like, well, you kind of have this look about you that you're nervous. So you don't. So good work out of you. But we're going to talk about getting new brand partners started. I am going to talk about this, but I'm going to give you some wording. I'm sending the images to Raylan and Mike. They will get them to you. So don't write down 50 million things. Soak it in. Be happy. I just hate when people feel like they have to write all the words down. I'm like, no, I'll get it to you. So for new brand partners, the first thing you're going to do is they can go to neora.com/start. However, what I have noticed is we kind of started changing it up, and I know you all do your own thing, so I'm going to say if it's working for you, don't change it. But something to think about is when we have a new brand partner get started, we immediately do a group Zoom. Now, when I say group, we do me, the sponsor, and the new person. Sometimes there'll be 2 leaders in there just because we all help each other so much, just like you all do. And we just do a group Zoom and we just meet them. Like, oh, what do you do? Who are your, and then we all get to know each other, because if they can see our face and they can see we're real people and we actually care, there's a lot more trust. It's a lot easier to help someone who knows, like, oh, you're real, like I can help you now. So we do a group Zoom and then we immediately after do a group text message with just those people. So if that sounds overwhelming and you're like, yeah, but that's a lot of group text messages. Right, but that's a lot of supported people who have more than just you to help them every single second. Because you're gonna have real life come up. I have one of my best leaders on my team has I think he's 10 weeks old and then a 3-year-old. And she works full time. Her life is not, she's not bored, okay? So we're in a group text, so if the witching hour happens at 5:30 p.m. at her house and her baby's freaking out, I'm able to answer the text. So we do a group Zoom, we do a group text, and it has been magic to help people feel supported, but also give them some resources without overwhelming them. And they feel that community right away. Because a lot of our teams don't live right where we do. Do you all have teams further away than just Kansas City area? Yeah. So a lot of our teams don't live right by us. It's so nice for me to be able to work with my Indiana team on a regular basis, just over Zoom. Because that really is where we're at now. Like we used to just, oh, let's make a phone call, let's get in person. And that's great. But if we have these amazing resources, we have to get comfortable using them. So if you are not comfortable using Zoom, ask questions before we leave today. I feel like we all use it for corporate calls and things like that. But if you're not comfortable, please ask. No one thinks it's awkward if you don't know what you're doing. We want to help you. But that really is where we're going with all of this. You have to be able to do those to welcome people because it's that face-to-face even if they live far away. I don't want to just make a phone call. I am a connector even though I don't like emotion. I like to be in person and I like to see their face and I want to see their kids jumping in the screen and I want to hear their dogs freaking out. Like I want the real people connection. So that helps us have that. So what we're going to do, and I'm going to share this, like I said, with your leaders. This is something that Anna Camp and some other leaders developed. And if you don't know her, you will. I think all of you know her. Best legs in the business. But this is something they started kind of just a one sheet so that you had another resource. So instead of just going through this helps you with wording to help those new brand partners get their customers. Because that's our main goal. Get them their first paycheck and keep it as easy as possible, right? So this can be a call, but like I said, I usually do a Zoom. Just get to know them a little bit, figure out what their goals are. Most people just want 3 customers, right? And that's what we're going to start with. We're not getting to Lexus on the first day. That is a little bit how this business used to go, and I was like, okay, this is making me sweat. Like, let's pull it back a little bit. So our job is getting customers, building a team of people who get customers, and repeat the process. So let's not confuse it. Let's keep it pretty simple. But what we're going to do with this is we are going to have them make a list of 10 people that would support them no matter what. And you may have people who are like, I don't really have 10. And I'm like, great, let's start with 5. Meet them where they're at. 10 people that would support you no matter what. And then 10 people who might need products. Like you know your friends who they're a little more high maintenance. Like I was probably on someone's list. I like an eyelash extension. I like some good skincare. But 10 people who might need the products. And then what you're going to do, and I'm just going to, well, I'll read it to you in just a second, but you're going to have them make their list. So that's where I start with my Zoom. 10 people who would support you, 10 people who need the products. And then for us, because we do have a lot of team living elsewhere, we do their first party as a Facebook party. Because usually they still are not sure they want people to their house. I had people at my house right away, but not everyone's ready for that. And so we'll do a little Facebook party. And if any of you ever want me to help you with that, I can do that. I know your leaders will help you. And we just go through the products. I do a live video, we flip through the products, we show them quick, and then we post before and afters and answer questions. And it just helps introduce their friends and family to the products so that they can ask questions, they can do that first order, and we usually help them do that to get their first few. And then from there they start to get confidence, they've kind of ripped the Band-Aid off, and then they do their RRP. And some of you might be like, yep, that's what we're doing. Awesome, that's what's been working for us. And so that's kind of how we've done this. Now when we're doing the Fast Start game plan, one thing that we have done recently, obviously we want them to get their first 3, right? Right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm really not that annoying. I just want you to be awake. Like, I hate playing games at things, so I know me making you talk to me is probably irritating. But what you're going to do is you're going to help them text people. And I know 5 years ago we had to call everyone on the phone and they have to hear our voice. I still think videos and I still think voice memos and I still think talking to people in person is best because they feel your excitement and they see that you're a real person and you're not copy and pasting a message to them. Because the minute I can smell a copy and pasted message, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do your Beachbody workouts. I'm not doing it. I don't want your shakes. I don't like, it's human nature. We instantly want to say no when we feel like we are a number and we don't matter. So we have to be very careful. So one thing you can text people though, if they're your 10 who would help you and support you no matter what, here's something you could say. Do not worry about writing this down right now. I know you're going to anyway, but bless you. You are good students. My kids would be falling out of their chairs and sharpening their freaking pencils. Teachers know what I mean. They're like, I'm bored. I'm going to go sharpen my pencil. So you're going to text them and say, hey, I need your help. And you could send them a voice memo. You know where you hold the microphone down on your phone and send it in a text? Hey, I need your help. Will you support me and become my customer one time for just 1 month? It would mean the world to me. If I had a friend ask me that and they were serious, I'd be like, all right, girl, what you selling? And if she told me, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I got you. I'll buy something for a month to help someone. Why wouldn't you? And maybe you can't. Maybe money's tight, but at least you could say, I can't this month, but let me know next month. Like, people in general are good. They're good to their core and they want to help other people. But if you copy and paste some crazy message that does not sound like you, they're going to be like, awesome, you sent that to everyone you're Facebook friends with. But if you send them a personal message, hey, I have a huge favor, would you be willing to help me this one time? You're probably going to get a better response. Now, let me follow this up with, this was developed at Eric Worre's house. If you know Eric Worre, he's like the network marketing guru. Anna and Leslie Hopper and some of those leaders were at his house at a mastermind training, and they sat together and developed this. So I'm like, I'm not going to question it, because the dude has like a bajillion-dollar house. So I will, though, tell you, anytime I see a script, if it doesn't feel right to me, I adjust it, because I'm not going to just put stuff out there. Yeah.
Can you say it one more time for the
Yes.
people in the back?
Yes, girl. Hey, blank, I need your help. Will you support me and become my customer one time for just 1 month? It would mean the world to me. And then for our fresh faces in the room who are brand new, okay, and let me just, again, we respect everyone's intelligence and we know you can all handle your life. But overthinking is the quickest killer to this business. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, it'll knock you out. Even me, even Raylan, even Mike, even Jen, even Tony, we've done this 50 million times, and every so often we're like, I don't know if I should send it. It says, they will probably ask, what is it? And then you say, are you more interested in skincare or wellness? If they say skincare, you say this. If they say wellness, it's like choose your own adventure. It's the best. So if you are in a position where you don't need this, don't use it. You do you. But if you're like, I either need to restart my business, I don't have my 9 customers yet, or I'm helping a brand new person and I don't want to be super pushy, this is very point A to point B. This feels okay. So this is something you can use. I will send it to them so that they will get it out to you today. Even before we leave, we can make sure that you have it so that you, because obviously you should probably send some text today, I would think. So you can tell them, you take their order, and then there's another sheet that you can use once you have a new customer just to help with your retention. And I know, like, I've seen Jen post things about retaining customers and all. You all know what you're doing, but I think it's so helpful to just keep seeing other tools so you can adapt, because there's no one tool that fits everyone. We've seen that business in a box where you take all your people and put them in a recipe box. I can't do that. It does not make sense to my brain. I have lists in my notebook and I print reports. A little recipe box is just clutter. Like, I can't, I've tried so many times and it does not work for me. So that's the first one. You're going to have them text their 10 people or their 20 people, because remember we have 2 lists of 10. Then you're going to have them send some videos to get their samples out. So they're getting their customers and then they're getting their samples out for the next round. And then, and this is a Raylan move, You're going to identify 3 to 5 things you're interested in. And you're going to join the Facebook groups. Because you're going to meet more people. Because eventually all your friends are going to be beautiful on your skincare and you're going to need new friends. So this is for new people. But if you do not feel like you're operating on your A game, this can be for you too. So just think about that. So you're going to join your Facebook groups. Pictures are everything. Make sure your newbies have pictures in their phone. Also, if you, and we'll talk about it in a minute, but I like to train all up front and then go through the slides at the end, I guess. Neora finally has, I shouldn't say finally, they have a really easy website now that's SmugMug where it's just all the photos. So that you know they're legit and you know they're from our company and you know what I'm saying. Because it's easy for us to look with an eye and be like, that one doesn't quite look right, I'm not going to use it. But we want to make it as easy and as duplicatable as possible. So make sure people have pictures. If you have people on your team who have had incredible results, make sure every new person has those photos of the people they know. So like Elise on my team has amazing eye serum pictures and belly pictures. Bailey on my team has amazing stretch mark pictures, and I forget. Suzanne on my team has pictures from the Prolistic powder where her eczema cleared up. Well, I can't say eczema cleared up, but I can show her hands and say what she was taking. You know what I'm saying? So save pictures from people that you know and have met, because they're just more powerful. I still show Jenny's picture, my friend who introduced me to the company. You guys, she quit. And her stomach is still making me money. So it works, yeah.
How does it cut her on the eczema?
She just takes it internally, and when your gut is healthy, all the other things fall into place. It's crazy. Okay, so that's kind of, but this is nice because it gives you 3 to 5 things to focus on with your new brand partners, because I think we have such an incredible system, and I never want to go off of that. But to take it from here and get to here is really important for people. And not everyone can simplify things on their own. So I think that is very, very helpful. And I'm in the business of trying to simplify for things because I don't need anyone overwhelmed in my life. Okay. Did any of you used to think this was kind of fluff when you first started? No? Yeah. When did you start, if you don't mind my asking?
Literally like a week and a day ago.
Oh my gosh, yay, so you still think it's fluff.
Yay!
Yes
and no. I do think
It's okay if you
was,
do. You won't hurt my
but
feelings.
I made myself and my husband sit down and write down what our first goals are, and that actually made me kind of change my perspective on it. So
I love that.
yes, it's still a little fluffy, but it makes more sense now.
I love that you did that. I'm actually going to talk about that on the next slide. I love that. Okay, so what's your why? When I first saw these slides, they used to be really cheesy. Like it was like a whole family pose together, and I was like, like we could ever take a family picture with everyone looking at the camera, number one. That would never happen. But the pictures just were a little cheesy. And even these, it's like, oh my gosh, cute. That's fun. But you don't realize how much is possible until you do sit down with people you love and care about and start to make plans and they start to happen. And I told you, I'm a naysayer by nature. I'm a no until I'm a yes kind of person. I wrote down my goals in my first 6 months in the business. And I don't mean like, I didn't make a vision board because I still thought it was a little weird. I'm being 100% honest. I no longer think it's weird, so don't be mad at me. I didn't think it was weird. So I did what I do best. I'm a concrete thinker, and I wrote 5 bullet points of goals I had. And within 3 months, I had done it all. And I was like, whoa, what is this voodoo? Because I wrote it down. Weird. So if you write things down, obviously, it's going to help. It makes it more real. It makes it concrete. You still have to work. There isn't a Neora genie where you make 3 wishes and it happens. You still have to do things. But if you write it down first step, even if your brain is still not here, at least write your goals down where you can see them. Put them on a sticky note on your bathroom mirror. Put them someplace. But when you let yourself go here, it's amazing what happens. And I was a big naysayer. And then one day I was like, you know what, let's go. So the team and I sat down, we made vision boards. I put Disneyland on it, I put Arizona on it. I put a picture of my team because I wanted more time with them, where we're not all running to full-time jobs. Like, I just had a lot of random things on that board. And then as we would get to that thing, I would pull it off. So I just pinned them on. I didn't glue it because I just pulled them off and threw them away once I did it. And after my first, I want to say 1.5 to 2 years in the business, I only had one thing left. And I was like, well, shoot, now I have to do it again. If you can get behind this, and if you can let yourself have a little bit of that little kid that's still inside you that wants to do big things, but you're nervous, put it on the board. I want you to think about, and I know, go play alone here. I want you to think about what you wanted to be when you grew up. Hopefully we're not all grown up yet, but what did you want to be when you grew up? Is anyone willing to play the game and share with me?
I wanted to be a nurse.
And what did you decide?
I'm a nurse.
Oh, see?
I wanted to be Janet Jackson's backup dancer.
Well, you're really fun, so I can see it. I can see it. Anyone else? Jen.
I wanted to be a hygienist and I became one.
See, I love you guys. I wanted to be a hygienist and there was a waiting list. And I was like, nah, I don't really want to wait. So I became a teacher. I'm not kidding. I was like, I can be a hygienist. Yeah.
I wanted to be a teacher always, but I ended up being a school psychologist. I didn't.
love that.
That's awesome.
I was in a middle school for 7 years. I feel you on the.
They need a psychologist more than anyone on the planet. Bless them.
They don't want them though. They need them.
They need them. Where's your hand raised?
Yes,
Okay.
I want to be Michael Jordan.
Again.
Michael
I
Jordan.
didn't quite have.
You're
the-
Michael Whitney's. Close.
Yeah.
Close. Tony.
I wanted to be a highway patrolman.
On a
So-
motorcycle.
On a motorcycle. I saw Chips.
Eric
Eric Estrada.
I love it. Oh my gosh. I might put that on my dream board for you. That might be your retirement job. Motorcycle.
John wanted to be Chevy Chase.
Raylan, what'd you want to be?
A talk show host.
Oh, she still does.
Well, I'd say you're pretty dang close.
Yeah. Kelly Clarkson.
I mean, if you think about the other careers out there, how many you get to actually be like a talk show host, this is about as close as it gets.
That's true.
I wanted to be a pediatrician until I realized how long you had to go to school. And then I wanted to be, in first grade, we had to write what we wanted to be when we grew up. I wanted to be a teacher, a cheerleader, and a travel agent. I feel like I'm pretty damn close. Cheerleader, travel agent, like I'm not home one weekend in October. And then a teacher, I still get to do it, it's just in a different way. So I know, I do want you to think back on those things. Give me a backup dancer. Do you, man. But
Make it happen.
start deciding what you want to do for your dream board. And I'm not someone who's going to hang a dream board on like our living room wall just because that's not me. But what I did is on Pinterest, and I think some of you have done this as well, I made a Pinterest board that's dreams, and I save pictures on it. And then on days where I'm like in a funk and I don't want to do what I'm supposed to do, I'll flip through it. And it doesn't take very many pictures of like fabulous vacations and home improvements for me to get my butt going. Because like, my husband's not going to want to put in all the things I want to in our house, right? So I better get going. So if you do it right here, it's always in your hands. It's something you can look at all the time. You can show your family. And we'll talk about it when we talk weekly goals. But I want you to get really clear with what your why is. And I'm just going to call everyone out. We all have the why we'll tell people. And then we have a secret one that we don't like to talk about. If yours is the same, I'm very impressed. But often we have a real why that's deep, that sucks to talk about, and that we might be one of the few that knows about. And then we have the cute one that we share in public, right? I did. Maybe the rest of you are all on the same page. I know a lot of people have one a lot deeper. Don't forget about your real why. It's okay to have your cute one. My cute one was, I want to stay home and be a stay-at-home mom while my kids are gone all day. Right? I did used to tell people that when I was working full-time. I used to say, when my kids are in school full-time, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. Be careful what you throw out into the environment because it will come back. So, really think about that today as we talk. Think about what's going to make you work regardless. When I started, I did care about what people thought. I did not want to post on Facebook. I did not want to have parties. And I remember the day that I made the decision to get going. My box that I got sat under my kitchen table for 3 weeks. So just because I signed up doesn't mean I decided to do anything. And I remember it was one of those rainy summer days where you're stuck inside, and I looked at my kids and I thought, who cares what anyone thinks? Am I doing it for me or am I doing it for my kids? I'm doing it for my kids. So think about what's really going to guide you through that. 10 core commitments. There was a great Neora training on this on Monday, and she talked about she was like 1 core, she was 3 core, she was 4 core, and she kept adding them to the mix. So you already are at one of the hardest things to do. People do not like to give up their weekends, obviously. They don't like to. So you already are there. But I want you to look at this really quick. You don't have to say it out loud. We're not going to play bridal shower games the whole time here. But pick out 1 or 2 things from there that you need to do a better job of this week. Because we all have ways we can improve. I'm picking mine out too. Not just you. Okay. So think about what you're going to do. And we'll work on it before you leave today so that you get it done before the feeling passes. How many of you are going to a power training in October? Good. I can't wait to see you all there. I'm just going to crash the Kansas City party to make sure I get to see you guys. So attend the major corporate conventions. I truly believe that will be a turning point for your business. And yes, we know the yearly conventions are. We know they are. But I think that power training is going to be that little shot that you're going to see a difference. I don't want to say in who goes and who doesn't, because I'm not into the have and have not thing. But I do think you're going to see a difference in your business where you're like, what if I hadn't been there? Truly. I think it's going to propel you. So if you have not made the decision yet to go, figure out a way to go. You can go very cheaply. I believe it. It's drivable. You got this. And then the last one on here that I care a lot about is, do you all have a workout partner or someone you can text to be accountable to? Maybe it's your sponsor, maybe it's a leader, maybe it's a friend.
Can I ask a question about this?
Yeah. Please do.
I'm gonna start to say something I shouldn't.
No, you can be as real as possible. We'll just tell him to turn off the camera. I'm just kidding.
Just here. No, I'm kidding. We just had kind of a breakdown, and we're from Wichita, and we had a pretty large group, 10, 15 people. And it's pretty much, and they were all above me, and so now I built my team, and they're all pretty much, they're not gone, but they're not here either. They're like working their business. And for a couple of years, for several months, I've really been trying to get that whole group back again.
Great.
And it's not happening.
Okay.
And so, or it's happening, it's not going well. And so I'm like, I gotta do this now. I gotta, and I've tried numerous times to get workout partners for my team, and it always fizzles, because I'll like call my workout partner. So I guess what I'm throwing out there is, we're in Wichita, you guys are in Kansas City, but I have 4 people that need workout partners, a lot. And I've reached out and they never pan out. So I would love to hook up 4 of my people with more people here, please. Okay.
Okay. The
Sorry,
other thing I
it's
would
up to your-
suggest, do not be, I don't care. This is not about me. It's not my TV show. If it was, we'd like
It's right, Lynn.
be drinking.
Yeah, it's very late.
We'd be tailgating if it was my TV show. Put White Claw out of business all on our
She's a
own.
guest.
Supposedly there's a White Claw shortage. You know what White Claw is, right? Is that just an Iowa thing? Spiked seltzer, it's delicious. White Claw?
Yes.
They're calling it like the drink of the day now, right?
Yeah. Well, in Ames, it's like sold out because of the game, so I made my husband go find me some.
What is it?
It's like spiked seltzer, so it's like spiked sparkling water. Delicious. But that's what all the college
It's the
girls
new
drink. We're
Zima.
running low. Yeah, it's like Zima, but it doesn't taste like crap. See, I got everyone talking about it. That's literally all you have to do for your skincare, people. I just got you all Googling White Claw, and you're like, that sounds delicious. I know. Okay.
All I gotta do is say shortage.
Right, and everyone, once
You
that
should
part
buy
was
some
incredible.
here and take them home.
Yeah, you have
and sell
to.
'em.
You have to.
Sell them.
Sell them. I'm keeping them in my pantry. I have a whole wine fridge full of them right now. Okay, so as far as the workout partner goes, I want to talk to you about that. I also ran into the same issue as you did, except all of mine just left. So I just didn't like have an upline. I have like 1 or 2 now. Gone. And that's okay. That's okay. Because lives change. Right? Jobs change. I left teaching and they didn't shut down the school. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. I would suggest you also working really, really closely with your team. Yes, give them workout partners. I know you're already doing it. But just create that connection in your team where you guys all have each other, and then it kind of doesn't matter. Yes, you still want to have workout partners. You never want to do it by yourself, but just keep them close and keep. Does that make sense? Like, we have group texts that are hilarious and as good as my family group texts, just in our team. That's how close we are. And I think the longer you've been in this and the tighter you get with your team, they really are the family you didn't know you needed. And they know all your stuff, and you know all their stuff. And that's the best. You guys know that people in the real world don't have this? Have you figured that out yet? Like, they don't have friends and people who have their back. It's so sad. But we don't realize it because we have it. I had somebody say, you have so many friends. And I was like, no, I don't really. And she's like, no, yes, you do. Like, you're always taking pictures with all these people. And I was like, oh, I guess I kind of do. But it's because of this company. Yeah.
So I had the same situation. Everybody laughed at a top, and I was so on. But really,
That sounds so horrible.
Oh yeah, but like they had this like once a month,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't even do the like things called But I came coming back here, and then I went to the meeting, the goal one, like
Yeah.
once a year, and then kept going, and then I met the funniest Tim Peterson,
Mm-hmm.
and then now with them, and I'm having a blast.
Yes.
Like I'm having in the Hong Kong,
Mhm.
and now it's Puya. I have a 20 minutes call every Tuesday.
See, you've got people.
And then
You just have to
I
ask.
need to just get out the book.
Yeah.
So I'm really, this is like a family.
I love that.
I think everyone that I really haven't talked to, but that's kept me in a happy moment, even in the deepest hole. But
Mhm.
I think this is just helping me to grow my.
Yeah. No, I love it. And I will say, if you start to go downhill, I want you to take inventory and decide if you're trying to do this by yourself. Because if you are, it sucks. And that will take you out of this quicker than anything. And I still get yelled at for trying to do it alone because I'm a control freak. And it's very easy for me to do this. And just try and do it by myself, and I don't want anyone to look off my paper, and I'll just do it myself. Working on releasing the reins, yeah.
We were talking about this on the way here, because it was really easy to just say, well, our little group is kind of falling apart and whatever. But our team is close, our little small team. But I went and found a group of entrepreneurs in Wichita. It's a group of women, and it's a group called The Hive. And I didn't see really the value of it at first, except for making connections with people. But now, even being around, I mean, my New York family, there's nothing like it. But now I'm around a group of like-minded entrepreneur women, and it has the same effect. And so even if you're not in a place where there's a bunch of people, or if you're not a part of a big team, because that's kind of what I was, and then I wasn't, and I didn't really know my place anymore. So like you said, joining Facebook groups and things, but even if you don't have the close-knit Neora, or even if you do, you need something else, just like-minded people, and that's what Jeff tells us all the time. Hanging out in this group of women, they're not all buying my products, but they're all supporting my business, and then that relationship gets there, and then they eventually start buying your products. So,
Right.
like-minded.
I totally agree.
Can I share a quick story?
Yeah, absolutely.
So last weekend, we went to a baby shower, and when we walked in, there was a whole bunch of bottles laid out. I thought it was those things, the White Claws, and then when we looked at them closer, they were the Amway drinks. And really quickly realized that about 90% of the room was all Amway drinks. So I was at the position where do I come in like, let's go, right? You Amway people, or I started asking them questions, kind of just chit-chatting with them. They started pulling information out of them, where they were asking me about our energy choose. So it's just, when you're in that environment, and also like-minded people, they're also reading the same things. They have mentors, and you kind of feel you're at the same level. Even though we're kind of, in a boxing ring, the mental state is still there, and that's really important.
Right.
I agree. Some of my closest friends outside of this are in other companies. Like, I have a friend who sells oils, and she's like, come drink mimosas and do oils and stuff with me. And I was like, girl, I gotta go train with my team. And she goes,